Okay, picture this. It's 2 in the morning. You hear a weird noise downstairs. You go to check it out, and your foot splashes into freezing cold water. Yup, a pipe burst. Your home is flooding. It is literally a homeowner's worst nightmare. So let's talk about what actually happens next, what you need to do when this crisis hits, and how the pros bring your home back from the brink.
So you're just standing there in total shock. Water is pouring into your living room. What's that first gut reaction? What do you do? Because believe it or not, the decisions you make in these first few minutes, well, they can mean the difference between a pretty quick fix and a catastrophic months-long repair.
And look, this is what most of us do, right? We panic, we grab every towel in the house, maybe we try to fight a literal flood with a little shop vac. Now, calling a plumber is definitely a good step, but these other actions, they're kind of like trying to empty the ocean with a teaspoon. The real damage is happening way, way faster than we can react. To really get a handle on the right solution, we first have to know the enemy. And water, well, it doesn't just attack from one direction. It turns out there are a few common culprits behind most of these home floods.
Now, what's so interesting here is how the damage usually starts from inside our own walls. Burst pipes are the big one, of course, #1 cause, often from winter freezes or just old plumbing. But look at the others, a washing machine hose that lets go, a faulty water heater, or that sump pump that finally gives out in the middle of a huge storm. These are everyday things that can turn into a massive disaster in a blink.
And this number, wow, this really puts the speed of the problem into perspective. A single burst supply line can dump up to 15 gallons of water into your home every single minute. That's enough to fill an entire bathtub in about 3 minutes. Your towels and buckets, yeah, they don't stand a chance.
So let's say you've stopped the gushing water. But that's when a new and honestly a much more dangerous clock starts ticking. The battle isn't just against the water you can see anymore. Now, it's against a microscopic invader that starts growing almost immediately.
So this is the number you have to remember. That 2 to 3 day window is absolutely critical. See, after water gets in, all those dormant mold spores that are just naturally in the air, they find this perfect new home and they wake up and start to colonize. Just waiting to see if things will dry out on their own is basically rolling out the welcome mat for a major mold problem.
And here's where it gets even more complicated, something most people don't even think about. Not all water is created equal. The source of that flood dramatically changes the health risk and the entire game plan for fixing it.
This breaks it down perfectly. On one hand, you've got Category 1, clean water. Think of it like a broken water supply line. The main goal here is just drying everything out fast. But on the other extreme, you've got Category 3, black water. We're talking about a sewage backup or floodwaters. This stuff is a serious biohazard. Anything porous it touches, like your drywall, your carpets, it can't be saved. It has to be cut out and thrown away, period.
Okay, so the situation is dire. That clock is ticking and the risks are way higher than you thought. This is the exact moment you stop trying to fight the flood yourself and you call in the experts. So let's see what happens the second they walk through your door. This first hour is everything. A professional team doesn't just show up and start mopping. They execute a plan. First, they find and stop the source. Then, they assess the water's category to know the health risk. And most importantly, they immediately start extraction with these massive industrial pumps that can remove thousands of gallons an hour. And this right here is why that training is so crucial. Professionals who are certified by the IICRC, that's the industry's gold standard, the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration Certification, they operate from a scientific playbook. They are not guessing. They know exactly how to classify the water and what steps they need to follow to make your home safe again. All right, once all that visible, standing water is gone, the most technical part of the job begins. And this is all about fighting an invisible enemy, trapped moisture. So you look at your basement floor, it looks dry. You can walk on it, the crisis is over, right? The job must be done? Yeah, that is actually one of the biggest and most costly mistakes a homeowner can possibly make. The real work is just getting started. This is where science really takes over. The pros bring in all this specialized gear to see what our eyes can't. Thermal cameras, they're basically like an X-ray for your walls, showing the cold spots where water is trapped inside. Then, they use moisture meters to get a precise reading deep inside the materials. The goal isn't to just make things feel dry, it's to get the wood framing back to its scientific dry standard. Now, this is the phase that requires some patience.
For the next 3 to 7 days, your house basically becomes a carefully controlled drying chamber. You'll have these giant air movers and dehumidifiers running 24/7. And the technicians, they come back every single day, taking new readings, tweaking the equipment, until their meters confirm that every last bit of that damaging moisture is finally gone. Okay, once the home is scientifically proven to be dry, the final phase begins, and this is the satisfying part, putting it all back together just like the disaster never even happened.
So now the team shifts from emergency mode to full-on reconstruction. The goal is to get your home back to what's called pre-loss condition. Any material that was too damaged or contaminated gets removed. Then new drywall, flooring, and trim get installed with incredible attention to detail. We're talking matching paint colors and textures so you can't even tell where the damage was. And the job isn't done until you do a final walkthrough and you sign off on everything.
And here is a huge weight off your shoulders. A reputable restoration company will often bill your insurance company directly. They handle all the paperwork, they provide the detailed photos, the moisture readings, and all the documentation the adjuster needs. This speeds up the whole claims process and takes you out of the middle of a really stressful situation. So we've walked through the whole crisis, from that initial disaster all the way to a full restoration. And it leaves us with one crucial thought. Knowing what you know now about the speed, the science, and the stakes, is your home truly prepared for the day water decides to attack?